Welcome to the Dr. Stacy Show, where we are talking about all things faith, love, and wellness. I am your host, Dr. Stacy, and I am super excited to be kicking off this inaugural season. Each season, I plan to tackle a theme, and this season, we're going to be talking about healing Black men and lifting Black boys. I'm going to be taking the time to speak to some incredibly talented and amazing Black men in their fields and profession to help us to gain insight in key areas of wellness to help support our Black men and boys. Today, I'm super honored to have with us Steve Bollar, aka Stand Tall Steve. Stand Tall Steve is a wonderful speaker, trainer, consultant in K through 12 education. He has focused on creating culture and climate through creative innovations and encouragement. Steve's authored books, including Stand Tall Leadership and Ideas, Ideas, Ideas. And he's also been recognized by South Jersey Magazine as South Jersey's top 20 men of the year. He also was chosen by Subaru's Family Magazine top 20 Citizen of the Year 2012. And he's also a member of the Jostens Renaissance Hall of Fame. He has a career over 25 years in education. I am super honored to have Steve here with us today. Steve, thanks so much for being part of our show.
Hey, thank you so much, Dr. Stacy. I am really excited about this, especially the focus that you have this season. It is just poignant, and I'm excited to be here.
Thank you for being here. Well, I know we were doing some pre-show talk and we have some things in common, but
Yeah.
first met you at an Educators of Color Leadership Symposium in New Jersey. It was you were an amazing keynote speaker.
Thank you.
And one thing that really stood out to me is, of course, your height, right?
Yeah.
People can't see you and we're both sitting down, but I love how you share. Talk a little bit about how you've used your height, even again, that idea of physical height and how you kind of bridge that even with your name, Stand Tall Steve.
Yes. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. And it was a great conference, People of Color Conference. They're going to do it again next year. So keep an eye out for those people to go to do that. My name's Steve Bollar, but I go by the name of Stand Tall Steve. And I do that for a couple of reasons, but the main one is I'm a tall guy. I'm 6'7", right? 6'7", Black man, bald head. And the stereotype for 6'7" Black man with bald head is what? Basketball player, right? And I'm slender on top of it, right? So you can be a big guy and be husky, nothing wrong with that, but I'm a slender, tall guy. I look like a basketball player, right? It's just a natural thing. So in my talks that I do, one of the things that I try to connect with people with is the fact that I am not the stereotype. I am not a basketball player. When I start my keynotes, and you saw it when you were there, I go to the stage and I say to everybody, I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. And I just say 6'7", because I know that's what people are thinking. They're thinking, how tall is this guy? It's a size 15 shoe. No, I am not a basketball player. Yes, I can play basketball. No, I will not do it for you. Yes, I can dunk the ball. No, I will not do it for you. Yes, I played basketball in high school. No, I did not play basketball in college. Yes, I enjoy the sport. No, I do not know any professional basketball players. Because those are the things that everybody always automatically thinks when you see me. And so I just have to break those stereotypes down right away. And like I said, yes, did I play in high school, middle school, high school? Yes, I did. I was very good. I was quite good. But when I got to college, and it's a very interesting story how all this went down, went to college. I went to Kutztown University, State School, Pennsylvania. Went there my senior year in high school to visit the school and everything like that. Went and visited the coach, talked with the basketball coach. He's like, hey, send me your VHS tapes,
Back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day. And so my dad talked to we all, and so I went back, I sent my VHS tapes, and then he got back to me and he says, look, we've already identified our people for this year, but you make it into school, we can do a partial scholarship after you've made the team. You make the team, your sophomore, junior, senior, we could do a partial. I'm like, okay, I'll take partial. And plus it was a good school for what I wanted to do. I wanted to be an art teacher and they had a great program. So I got into the college, school started. I says, let me go by and say hello to the coach. I go by to say hello to the coach. He's not there. They let him go. There was a different guy that was in there. And so I was like, oh, well, let me explain the situation to him. So I explained the situation to him and he's like, I'm not giving you anything. No. And so I went to my father. My father had a letter from the previous coach on school letterhead that explained everything. And the other guy was like, I don't care. Yeah, I'm not giving you anything. And so
Uh,
he said, you got to try out like everybody else. So in my mind, I'm thinking, I'm going to show this guy how good I
yeah.
am.
Mm-hmm.
So when basketball tryouts finally came around, I was there. I went off, man. I mean, I was digging in. I was,
I love
and I had and
that.
the assistant coach, he came up to me, all right, good job.
Mhm.
Second practice, I was digging in even more. I even dunked on some of the seniors. Like I was killing it. And I went back to my room. I was hurt, because they beat you up. And I
Yeah.
remember looking at myself in the mirror when I went back to my room and I was like, why am I doing this?
Mm.
I don't love basketball.
Yeah.
I play basketball because that's what people said I should do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't love it. I love music. I'm a trumpet player. I play trumpet. My minor is in music. I'm an artist. I paint, I draw. I don't want to do this. It was no guarantee of anything. So I
Mm-hmm.
just stopped and I never went back. And I'm happy for it. I don't fit the stereotype and I'm okay with that. So that's a bit of what I do to connect with people about the world of tall people and what I do and how I live. But that's that stereotype that hits Black people. You got to
Mm-hmm.
play ball, especially if you're tall. And that's just not what I do.
And especially Black males, right?
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
again, when we think about it, even when I saw you walk in that day, I had no idea who you were, right? I
Yeah.
didn't even know
Mhm.
the keynote. We're just chit chatting. I'm like, oh, you're the keynote. Great. That is so true. One thing that you share in your talks is about the fact of being tall and what you went through, even from a physical growth perspective, mental
Yeah.
health perspective, and
Mhm.
the pressures of that through your K through 12 years. Would you mind sharing a little bit about that?
Yes, definitely. So I get very vulnerable when I speak and very raw with my story. And I explain, I joke a little bit about the world of tall people at first, but then I dive into when I was growing up, I didn't want to be tall. I didn't want it. Eighth grade was the year that everything went nuts for me. At the beginning of eighth grade, I was 5'8". At the end of eighth grade, I was 6'3", not 6 foot, not 6'1", 6'2", 6'3".
Wow.
I grew 7 inches in one school year, not a calendar year, a school year, September to June,
Ooh.
7 inches. And it hurt.
Mm.
They talk about growing pains. No, it seriously. I was 13. I wore size 13 shoe. I was tripping over myself constantly. Feet, legs, back, arms hurt. I had anxiety at night. Specifically, I had these anxiety attacks at night because I knew that I was going to wake up in the middle of the night in pain,
Mm.
because that's when you grow. You grow when you sleep. So I started having these anxiety attacks. Back in the day, nobody understood anxiety attacks. They just called, shut up and go to bed. You all right. Cut
Yep.
this out. And nothing against, I love my mom and dad. My mom was a nurse, registered nurse. She would give me some Tylenol or something before I go to bed. You'll be okay, baby. But still, it was like, and then I started having chest pains. I started having these pains in my chest around my heart. It was severe. So they ended up giving me a Holter monitor put on. So I'm walking around as an eighth grader with this device that looked like a purse. I was getting made fun of. It's like, what's wrong with you? Something's wrong with you. I'm like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I would literally fall down in the hallways in pain. It was brutal. And then I started hunching. You know how tall, people who slouch,
Mm.
hunch over.
Yeah.
I mean, eighth grade was it was brutal. It was a brutal, brutal time. My voice was jacked up. I couldn't talk right. My voice, it was just, all the markers to really, for any person, especially a
Mhm.
young Black boy in a school that it stands out more. It was all the markers of trauma. Okay. And I had a good home life, mom and dad, married, still married to this day, good stuff, but trauma. And then I had a revelation, and I speak about this in my keynote, where I was walking home with a friend of mine, and it was a friend of mine. She grabbed my shoulders and punched me in my back and made me kind of arch my back. And she was just like, "Stop this! You're a tall person. Just embrace it," so to speak. And that kind of changed my mindset. Like, what am I doing? It's very similar to the mindset of Stoics. Marcus Aurelius. It's the Stoicism. Focus on the things that you can control. I can't control how I'm going to grow. My dad is 6'6". My brother's 6'6". My mom's 5'9". My grandfather was 6'10".
Ooh.
Going to be
Every-
tall.
Right. Everybody's tall.
Come on. So what am I can't control it. So, granted, my eighth grade mind, you know,
Hmm.
it changed everything. I started embracing it like, look, this is just who I am. It's a process.
Yeah.
I got to go through it. Like all those things your parents say to you that you don't listen to when you're a kid. it kind of came to mind. And I'm like, you know what? Yes, I'll be okay. So that's the message I kind of share with everybody. Like, yeah, you go through some things, you go through some trauma, but you got to focus on what you can control. And that's pretty much where that is.
Yeah, and one of the things I do, again, I've experienced your keynote, and I do love that you're vulnerable about that and that you share that because
Mhm.
even the idea, and again, I had that mama that said, grin and bear, go to bed, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Everything
Mhm.
was take a pill, take some prune juice, drink
Yep,
some.
yep, yep, yep. Fruit juice, I got that too. Yep, yep.
Listen, that was our wellness. That was our cure
Yep,
back then,
yep,
right?
yep.
But we don't often talk about that even the idea of something like your physical growth can cause
Yeah.
anxiety, right?
Yes.
You're saying, "Hey, I'm having anxiety based on what's happening to me as this beautiful black man that's growing so tall, but that also impacts how I feel about myself, impacts my mental health and state of
Mhm.
being, but even just physical pains." I mean, right, we talk about physical pains with athletics, and usually we're talking about like high school. Everybody's got the ice packs, everybody's doing,
Mhm.
trainers or getting the kids taped up before the games and things like
Mhm.
that. But a lot of that is happening because of normal growth and development, but it also plays on us and
Yeah.
it impact us for sure.
Yeah, it really does. And my father, mind you, he's 6'6". My brother
Mhm.
was growing. They didn't have this. When they grew very steadily. Just a nice
Mm,
little steady growth process. So
yeah.
as much as they talked about, and my father's a very professional man, he is good man. He stood tall. He would just like stand up straight. Hey, cut that slouching stuff. And he's a military man. He's a military and a Pentecostal minister. I'm
Uh-oh.
lay hands on you. Not sure about that stuff. He,
Exactly.
he he did the best that he can. And now that what we know about, anxiety, what we know about now with trauma, what we know about now about all those things, they did send, my father did set a good role model for me. But
Mhm.
those things still do play on you because here's the other thing on top of it. I'm growing fast. So I grew up in Salem, New Jersey, small town, Salem, New Jersey, a lot of black people down there, right? And instantly they're just like, oh, boy, man, you got to be able to ball. You got to be your height. And I was clumsy. I was a clumsy oaf. I was tripping over myself. And so now I'm self conscious about
Mm,
that. People are like, oh, if I had your height, what I would do? No,
yeah.
you wouldn't. But back when you're little,
Right.
it's that. So that is there. If this message can get out to, and I do speak to students as well. A lot of my work I speak to the
Mhm.
adults mostly, but I do have a student assembly and I do speak to students as
Great.
well. If
Mhm.
that knowledge, that understanding can help them in their process and their self-image, it's well worth it then. It's well worth it.
And speaking of your talks, you have a talk, a TEDx on why not me. Talk to us a little bit about that because I loved it. And I'm just going to, again, throw that out there
Yeah.
for everybody to listen to. It was awesome, very inspiring. But talk a little bit about that, why not me, and how that phrase has just really impacted you.
It has. It was interesting. So first of all, when I was asked to do this TEDx, me being a speaker, I'm like, oh, I got a speech for you guys. Let's do this. I got my speech. And for anyone else who out there who may be going to do a TEDx, there's a whole process before you to develop the talk. So this came out of that counseling process
Mm,
for me to realize this mindset that I've had of why not me. When I was little, on top of everything, I'm dyslexic. I have dyslexia. So being dyslexic when I was younger and little, nobody knew what it was. I didn't understand it. And I didn't understand why I would have such difficulty with reading and with math. I start to wonder if I have dyscalculia, but I don't
mm,
know. At any rate, I just, it was a pity party. Why me? Why me? Why is this happening to me? Why can't I do this? So it started off with, why me? Why am I dealing with all of this? And so I found some opportunities in my life, very young, where even though I was a pity party, why me? I was able to find some successes
mm,
that allowed me to learn a little bit about myself. Like, well, wait a second. Instead of why me, why not me? Why not? So I guess I get a little bit older. I'm like, well, why not me? And I knew that I was just as smart as everybody else. I just couldn't showcase it well somehow. So, why not me? Why not? I might have to work a little bit harder. I might have to do things a little bit differently, but why not me? And so, therefore, as I moved forward in life and I started to experience different things, that was my mantra. Well, why
mm.
not me? I want to be in the room too. I want to be there as well. Why not me? I can do this. And that's what it was. And even though I failed a lot, and I think that has to go a little bit to my parents and such, it's like when I wouldn't make it well or I didn't do it, I remember my dad and my mom say, okay, well, go ahead and try again. Well, what do you mean try again? Well, try again. You'll figure it out, in their own way,
Mm-hmm.
By no means were either of them philosophers or anything like that, but they kind of knew, keep going. And so that's why not me? And then once I became older into college and even into adulthood, that why me moving to why not me became why it's not me.
Mm-hmm.
Because at that point, you've gone through life, you've had experiences, you've had failures, you now have a better understanding of your vision, mission, values in your own life. And now you can pinpoint, oh, I know why that's not me. I'm not doing that.
Mm.
And that confidence comes in.
Yeah.
But you have to go through the process of the pity party in the beginning, why me, to wait a second, why not me? Give the effort, learn, fail, learn again, to being confident with, oh, why that's not me. That's not me. I don't do that. I do this. So that's the whole progression of that TED Talk. And just the process that they took me through to get to that, to have that understanding, I thought is fabulous. Absolutely wonderful.
It is. And I would honestly say, as a therapist and a clinician, it is beautiful self-talk, right? We think
Yeah.
about,
Yeah.
because that is the biggest challenge. I always tell people the self-talk industry is $1 billion industry, right?
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
just summed it up with 3 simple things that you could say to yourself
Mhm.
and really sit down and think about. And again, I love the why not me, but also why it's not me, because I think
Mhm.
that's key, right? As we do grow, we have experience, and those of us who are 40 plus and we get into our
Mhm.
spaces and we're like, yeah, that's not me anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. And you very confidently say, "Why it's not me," and you just turn
Uh-huh.
heel and go do your thing. Yeah,
Exactly.
but you have to get there. You have to get there. There's a process that
Mhm.
needs to be able to get there.
Yes.
Get there.
Now, and I love that you talk about your father and your parents and gyms and being a father, because you have
Mm,
children of your own.
I do.
Tell me a little bit of how some of this you've either given to your kids. I mean, I know we try not to. We also want them to kind of learn on their own and grow and get their
Mhm.
wings. But
Mhm.
how has that shaped your parenting and your father-son relationship?
Yes, yes. I have 3. My oldest daughter, she's 22 right now. My son, he's my middle, he's 20, and then my baby girl, she's 17, soon to be 18 within a week or so. I'm very fortunate, and it's sad to say I'm fortunate that I have both parents growing up. You would hope that that's the norm for everyone, but I was very fortunate that I had both of my parents my entire life. Both of them are still together to this day. My father's 88. So I just talked to him yesterday. And in my own parenting, my goal was, and I took it almost as a job. My goal is to prepare you for life. I want you, and all parents feel that way. They do. But I knew that there were certain markers and certain things that needed to happen in order for them to really be that way. Especially with my son, I wanted to make sure that we had that strong relationship, that he could be a person of integrity, or be a person of value. So I really went out of my way to try to be that person for him so he
Mhm.
can see it.
Mhm.
Here's the additional piece of that.
Yeah.
As all parents want to be a good person of value and integrity for their child, I did not hope that he got it.
Mm.
What do I mean by that? I mean that a lot of times we say, well, I'm being a good role model. Hopefully he gets it. No, I tell you exactly why I'm being this way. I'm not going to hope that you get it. I'm going to tell you why I'm doing this. So something happens and I respond a certain way. Son, girls, what I'm responding this way because XYZ, because it's the right thing to do, because this, that, and the other. Yes, I'm not, I may not like it, but I'm going to do it. I explain the whole thing. That increases the probability that they're going to get it. As opposed to, well, I hope they get it. No, their prefrontal cortex has not been developed yet. They're not going to get it. You have to
Say it
tell
again.
them, say it. And then here's the other thing, and it's great because my wife and I, we decided to do this together in this specific way.
Yeah.
We specifically say hope is not a strategy. All right. When you deal with your kids, it's like, well, I don't have to strategize my kids. You better.
Yep.
You better. Hope is not a strategy. I'm not going to hope that they get it. I'm going to explain to them my thinking process, the reason why I'm doing it. I'm going to give examples to them as to what it is that I want to see from myself and in the community. Like if you see somebody in the community acting a straight up fool, hey, you see that? That's what we do not do. That's not who we are. That's not our values. Oh, you see that over there? That connects to what we are and our values. I'm not going to hope that they get it. I'm going to be strategic in making sure they get it. And part of that process happens, and we were chatting a little bit before we started recording here about how both of our boys are Eagle Scouts.
Yes.
And there's in the Boy Scouts, now called Scouting America, they are rooted in values. They're rooted in those things that you want. So that the Scouts has really helped me be a better father, I think, overall.
Yeah, I love that. I was not involved in scouting. I was the mom that would show up at the ceremonies
At
and
the ceremonies and the meetings. Yeah.
scouting was all dad and you. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Go for it. Even
Go
my
for it.
daughter actually liked scouting just as much as my son. So
Yeah. Mhm.
but we didn't do Girl Scouts. But so one of the things, and as we're kind of wrapping up here, what would be a tip that you would have for men when it comes to not just our education of young boys, but even just like the growth and development? I mean, we talked a lot of different areas of wellness today, which has been great. But then also maybe share a tip that when you are talking to young students and boys, what would be something that you would give them advice around?
Wow. Yeah. I think a main tip kind of goes a little bit back to my whole concept of hope is not a strategy. I'm really be blatant and not rude blatant, but be realistic blatant. Like this is happening because of this. And then give and take the time to listen to their perspective. That's the other piece of it. We're so good at talking to them, talking at them. Pause. What are your thoughts? What do you think? And understand that there needs to be time for processing. Okay. You've gone through the experiences in your life. You've had those experiences. You've processed them. So let's say that you're talking to a young man. It could be your son, your nephew, a neighbor, a friend, any whatever. You're being blatant and explaining in detail the reasons for whatever needs to happen or the lesson being learned. Then say to them, what are your thoughts? What do you think? Understanding the response you're going to get from them, it is still processing in their head. Remember, many of these young boys, they don't have the prefrontal cortex, right? It's not fully developed, but you have to hush up, shut up, quiet. Let them process out loud.
Yeah.
And that processing out loud is a part of the process for them to do the learning, to hear themselves. And one of the strategies that I use, and I even use it now, I use it when I was a school administrator, I was principal and superintendent and all the stuff like that. And even now in leadership, and I did it with my own kids. So let's say we'd say something to them, what do you think about that? Well, I don't know. You don't know? No, I don't know. I'm not sure about that. Well, maybe, I could figure something out. You're going to figure it out? Yeah, by figuring it out, I mean, just, thinking about, the other people that were in the group and what they could have said, Yeah, they could have said, you know what I just did there? I just repeated the last two things that they said each time and turned it into a question. And what does that do? It leads them to talk more. Stop trying to jump in, man. Just I do that all the time. Even when I was an administrator, the teacher comes in, it's like the students are going crazy in my room. Crazy in your room? Yeah, they're jumping all over the place and this, that, and the other. I just can't take them. You can't take it? No, but I guess I can, get myself together. Get it together, girl. That's all I said. And they walk out and they're happy. Same thing with your kids, the boys, the others. Boy, that's a long answer but that's what it is. Doing that. I think that can really be blatant and then let them have their voice a little bit.
And what would you say to the young man that might be you when you were in middle school and struggling? What would you say to them?
It doesn't last forever. It doesn't last forever. Not everybody's able to have vision. All right. Vision is a picture of future success or a picture of future doom. All right. Vision is vision. But in order to have that picture of future success, you got to look past what you're currently going through. When I was going through the growth and everything, I was so zoned in on what's happening to me now. Oh my gosh, it does not last forever. It won't. And I think when, for me, going back to my first story, when she punched me in the back, that snapped me out of that. And so to the young people that are out there, when you're going through struggles and stuff, it will not last forever. Yes, make the adjustments, learn, do the things necessary to do better, but it's going to change. And that's the hardest thing for them to do sometimes, to understand and learn that.
That is so good. So good. Oh man. Okay. So, Steve,
Mhm.
you have to indulge me. So, I always have my guest. This is our segment of the show.
Okay.
Because I definitely believe in humor, and we know that laughter and a joyful heart is good medicine. We're talking about wellness and healing people.
Yes,
I
yes.
take you back to Laffy Taffy days. Do you remember the candy Laffy Taffy?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So, here's our Laffy Taffy joke. All right. See if you can guess. Where do cows write their secrets? Where do cows write their secrets?
Where do cows write their secrets? I
Mhm.
know a lot of goofy dad jokes, but I don't know this one. I don't know.
You don't know,
Where?
in their dairy.
In the
All right, so I'm done. But Steve, thank you for being here. Tell everyone where they can find you, what your social media handles, all the good stuff. And I know you're doing keynotes, K through 12, workshops, all kinds of stuff. Tell them
Yeah.
how they can find you.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much. I'm still getting over the dairy thing. That's fun. It's Stand Tall Steve. Stand Tall Steve. It's pretty much everything. You do Stand Tall Steve Instagram, you'll find me. Stand Tall Steve Twitter or X. Stand Tall Steve 1, I think it is. You'll find me. Well, Stand Tall Steve Facebook, you'll find me. StandTallSteve.com website. LinkedIn is my full name, Stephen Bollar, Bollar. Yeah, that's what it is. You can find me everywhere. Yes, I'm especially now throughout the summer. I'm doing a lot of keynotes at conferences. Most of my genre, my niche area is K-12 education, although I have spoken for nonprofits, healthcare, corporate as well. So yeah, anybody's interested in any way, just reach out. My email is Steven, Steven, at standtallsteve.com. There you go.
Great. Awesome. Wonderful. All right, folks. Well, we're going to close out our show with my segment of Love the Babies Well. Before I go, I just want to again encourage everybody. In Jeremiah 29:11, it says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope in a future." When Steve said today, "Why not me?" it really reminded me of this voice. We are created and built and designed just the way we are, with our gifts, our skills, our talents, to be successful. Using positive self talk can overcome the negative voices, even the voices that seem louder than our inside voices. Differences do not make us broken. Young men need to know that you're not broken, but you're chosen. You're designed, you're built just the way you are to one day make a difference. And as Steve said, it doesn't last always. Let's take time to help our sons find their strength, find their unique differences just the way they are. Well, folks, thanks for tuning in to the Dr. Stacy Show. Until next time, keep the faith, love the babies well, and pursue wellness.